The influences that we happen to see that French makes upon this language are seen as the first thing that we see is that language, Anglo-Saxon language, loses its inflection. Inflection means the rise and fall of the language, rise and fall of the tone, that changes. The way this is spoken is totally different than it was earlier spoken. So it's still the same language. We'll take the example from the first one where there are no influences of the French. We'll take the example of Beowulf, and the one that we have in Middle English, we'll take the example of Chaucer. Okay. So it's believed that this one was written in around 6th century, but then the manuscript could not be found from the 6th century. The manuscript that we now have belongs to 9th century, 9th century AD. So this is that time. Now, when is Chaucer writing? Chaucer was born in 1363. He dies in 1400. So therefore, when he's writing, this is 14th century. So let's see the differences. If the language remains the same, what are the differences in Beowulf and Chaucer's? We'll take again the same example so that you also become familiar with the language of Chaucer, because you have to do this in your other paper. We'll still continue to take the example of General Prologue of the Canterbury Trails. Now, say for example, how I pronounce the Canterbury Tales is the modern pronunciation of it. And this wasn't the same then. This wasn't the same then. What has changed? Inflections have changed. I'll play these. You will have to pay attention. Your ear should go to the rise and fall of the language. How does the tonation change? How does the tonation of the language change? Also called intonation. How does the intonation change? Okay. Intonation change would be how does rise and fall of language change? You can become more familiar with it. Intonation refers to, we all speak Kashmiri language. We all speak Kashmiri, but there are intonational differences, inflectional differences, that we have different Kashmiri in Islamabad and altogether different in Baramulla. And despite the fact that Baramulla, Sopore are so close, but the language is so different. And then we have something that people from Badgam speak, then people from Srinagar speak another tonation, and other places. You can include that yourself. That is the intonational differences in language. The language is the same, the tonation changes. Similarly, the Middle English remains the same in Anglo-Saxon and Anglo Normans, but only the inflections change. So Middle English remains the same, but some changes do occur. These changes are, the first one is the language loses its inflection. Let's see how. I'll play one reading of Beowulf, and the second will be followed by the reading of Chaucer's General Prologue, the Canterbury Tales. Only and only focus on intonation, the rise and fall, intonation. Is that clear with you?
What way Gardena in Yar Dagum, Feud Kuninga, Thrim ye Frunon, Hutha Athalingus, Ellen Fremidum, Oft Shield Shaving, Shathan a Threatum, Monigum Maigthum, Meru Setla Oftem, Exode Erolas, Suthan Arist Wert, Fashaft Funden. He thus Frobra Yebad, Weox under Woknum, Weorth Mundum Tha, or that him Aig Wilch that are Umsitindra, over Hron Rade, Huron Shulde, Gomban Yildan. That was good Kuning. Them after was, after Kenneth, young in Yardrum, funny good Sunday Fokid Frobre. Fear in Tharve on yad, that he Drugon, Aldor Laze, Longe Wile. Him thas Lifre Woldres Walden, Wordare Foriaf. Beo was Breme, Blad Wide Sprang, Shuldes Avra Sherilandum in. Swashal young guma, gore ye weirchan, from feo hiftum on fader bear me, that hine an ulde eft ye wunigen, will ye see thus, thon a weekume, leod ye lasten. Lof dadam shall in magtha yawera, man ye theo.
Beowulf was written a little over 1,000 years ago, and it's one of the oldest English texts.
What way gar dana in yar dagum theud kuninga thrim ye frunon hutha athalingus ellen fremidon. Oft child shaving shad and a threatum monigum maigthum meru setla oftel. Egg so de erolas suth an arist worth fashaft funden. Hidas fropra ye bad, weox under woknum, weorth mundum tha, o that him aig wilch that are umsitindra, over hron rade, huran shulde, gomban yildan. That was good kuning. Them
Can you differentiate this rise and fall that he talks about with the current English language that we now speak? Do you find there are differences in the language they speak, the intonations that were used then and the intonations we use now? Do you see there is difference in the English intonation? Is intonation clear with you? Am I audible, guys? Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
So what did I ask? Do you understand intonation, the rise and fall?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now you see it's different in Beowulf, and now the one I say is Chaucer. Look at changes that occur in the intonation from one to another.
Here beginneth the book of the Tales of Canterbury. The truth of March hath cursed to the rota, and bathed every vine in switch liquor, of which virtue engendered is the floor. One Zephyrus egg, with his swage of breath, in spirit hath in every hort and head, and recropus, and the youngest son hath in the ram his halve coot runne, and smaller fools back in the melodie, slepen all the night, the prickers of done long and walked to go on pilgrimages, and palmers for the sake of strongest to fit the highways, food in sundry mountains. And specially from every sheerest end of England to Canterbury I wender, the holy blissful martyr for to sake, that am at all, and the thy sake. We feel that in that season on a day, in Southwark at the Tabard as he lay, ready to wend on me pilgrimage to Canterbury with full devout courage, at me was coming to that hostelry, and me and Henry in a company of some good folk. We have
Now, who will tell me which of the two is very close to the modern English intonation?
Ma'am Chaucer.
Yeah. So, can you explain what intonation is?
Yes, ma'am.
Tone. Tone. Like in Beowulf, and it's now like that. The intonation is not the same in Chaucer. General prologue is like we say English today.
मैम जो बेवुल्फ में है उसकी आवाज थोड़ा वो उसका लहजा आहिस्ता से है और चौसर में जोर जोर से पड़ता है जल्दी में है जैसे
Continuous. So जैसे ये intonation is like what you read it today, as whereas the other one, right? This is Beowulf, General prologue to Canterbury. So this was one change that occurred with the coming of the Anglo Normans. I hope this is clear with you. The second example I'm going to give change that occurred. I'll not write Chaucer here. I'll write the name of the text. I'll make it Beowulf on one side, and other hand side, we'll write Chaucer. One is that Anglo-Saxon language loses its inflection. Loses its inflection. Remember the term inflection. Loses its inflection. The second thing that happens, one thing was about inflection. Let's deal with the second thing that happens with language. The second thing is that vocabulary gets vocabulary enriched. There are many words that come into English language that were there in French. And all of you mute yourselves. Arjuman, check your connection. Does my voice break for everyone? Does my voice break
यस मैम
for
यस
everyone?
मैम कभी कभी वो आती है
Um,
Yes,
um,
ma'am.
Wes, where are you from?
मैम पुलवामा
And
पापोर
Arjuman,
ma'am.
Puspa?
Ma'am, I am from Tral.
Arjuman, you're from?
Tral.
So you guys are from same place. It's connectivity issue in your place. Okay, try.
मैम अब ठीक आ रहा है
Try at least to repeat it in the If you all are from Tral Pampur, do try to sit near a window or a door where the connection is the best. Okay, where you can get maximum possible connectivity. The reason is connectivity in your place. I'm sorry. मैं fiber use कर रही हूँ, so the voice is not breaking on my side. Okay, let's continue. I'll give you a few words if I find them. I had noted them somewhere. Many words that are now being used in English, but basically came from their French roots. Yeah, I found the page. So these words are words like, I'll write them down for you. Note these words. Some of the words that came from French and are now used are bizarre, vogue, detail. These are the words that have come from French language. And many words, hundreds of words came into the vocabulary of English people from French. This was the second thing that happened, that change that came in the language. Coming back to the other changes that are now figured out in the Middle English that occurred from before 1066 and after 1066. The third change that occurred was that there used to be, in the poetry, there used to be an alliterative tradition. I'll explain what that means. There used to be an alliterative tradition, and this was replaced by a rhymed tradition. In the poetry, there used to be an alliterative tradition that was followed, and this was replaced by rhymed verse. Verses were now rhymed. Now, what does that mean? I again share the same reading for you. And check this out. What you find in this one, this is the replacement that occurred. We find that there are rhymed verses. Sota rhymes with rota. Likur, lur.
फ्लोर
But same is not the case with the other one. What do we see in the other one? Does Gadagu rhyme with Kefrunan? So this tradition of rhyming the words wasn't there earlier. Then what was there earlier? There was a tradition of alliteration. Alliteration means mute yourself. If you unmute yourself for a while to say something, then quickly mute yourself so that it doesn't make background noise. What we gardina in gardagum. You see G, the sound of G, G, G is repeatedly coming in one line. This is alliteration. In the second one, the sound is f. Fjord kuninga. Fraim jeffrunon. F. In here, it's L. L. Okay? In here, it's sh. 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 Let's see how that works. Okay, now you are not paying attention to the alliteration, but you're paying attention to, sorry, you're not paying attention to intonation, but alliteration. एक ही साउंड एक वर्स में रिपीटेडली क्यों आता है? This is called alliteration.
Wat we gardena in jar dagum feud kuninga thrim ye frunon hutha athalingus elim fremidon. Oft shield shaving shad and a threatum monigum maig thum meru setla ofta. Egg so de erlas suth an arist word fashaft funden. He das fropra ye man. Weox under woknum, weorth mundum tha, or that him aig wilch that setindra, over hron rade, huran shulde, gomban yildan. That was good kuning. Them avre was, at we gardena, in jar dagum, feud kuninga, thrim ye frunon, hutha athalingus, elim fremidon. Oft shield shaving, shad and a threatum, monigum maig thum meru setla ofta. Egg so de erlas, suth an arist word, fashaft funden. He das fropra ye bad, weox under woknum, weorth mundum tha, or that him aig wilch that setindra, over hron rade, huran shulde, gomban yildan. That was good kuning. Them avre was, after Kenneth, young in yardrum, for a god sende fokid frobre. Fear in tharve on yad, that he drugon aldor laze longe wile. Him thas lifre wodres walden, wordare for yath. Beo was breme, blad wide sprang, shoulders avra sherilandum in. Swashal young guma, gore weirchan, fromum feo hiftum on fader berme, that hine an ulde eft ye wunigen, will ye